Make sure you fully looks max, money max, and health max beforehand. Make sure to live in your original country, e.g. black. Go live in Africa. Asians go to Asia. White go to Europe, etc. Best chance of getting the women with most appeal and most likely to get best features is in high school, university, or when you're young. 24 Stage 1 genes. Section 1 height is one of the most important features you should be evaluating in a partner. Obviously, there are other things you need to prioritize as well, but you must take height into consideration. A general rule of thumb is how many inches taller your partner is over 5.5. Add that many inches to your own height, and that is your son's projected height. For example, if you are 5 feet 10 inches and your partner is 5 feet 7 inches, your son's projected height is 6 feet. And for your daughter, add how many inches you are over 5 feet 10 inches, and add half of it to your partner's height, and that's your daughter's height. I would recommend trying to get your son's projected height to 6 feet 2, as your daughter's height won't be overtly tall, and your son is usually have a better frame than that of someone who's 6 feet 5 plus, who usually has a very lanky frame. For example, if you are 6 feet 0 going for a girl who is 5 feet 7, as this will make your son projected height be 6 feet 2 and daughter's projected height 5 feet 8. Obviously, you don't need to autistic with it by measuring your partner's height and making sure she's exactly that height, but making sure she's in the range of it. For example, if you are looking for a girl who's 5 feet 7 going for girls who are between 5 feet 5 and 5 feet 9 will be optimal. I don't expect I need to list the advantages of being tall, but I will anyway. Better SMV, more dominance, better at sports, people are more likely to respect them, and all these will give them confirmation bias, making them act more NT, lower inhib, and more confident. Also, projected height isn't exact, and especially with the diet I lay out further in the video, they are likely to be 2 to 4 inches taller than their projected height. That's why I'd recommend prioritizing things that I say in the other sections over height, but to keep an eye out for it nonetheless. Section 2 features. Here are some basic features you should look out for in your partner. Same ethnicity. This is very important, as mixed children usually look quite strange with bad harmony. If you are mixed, go for the ethnicity that you look the most like. For example, Zane would go for whites, and Brian Whitaker would go for blacks. Colored eyes. This is important, as they are a great feature to have. Even if you're pure T50 eyes, your grandchildren could still get them. Facially robust, not very important, as this is very highly determined by diet, but still useful. Good eye area, very important because it's mostly genetic. Look for more specifically wide PFL, a good canthal tilt, and good lashes and brows, full and wide lips. This is important as it's very genetic, though they are affected by diet and size of their palate. Good nose, slim and no bump, etc. Important as it's very genetic, though diet does play somewhat of a role. No recession, not very important as this is very highly determined by diet, but still useful. Obviously, try to get as attractive partner as possible, but the above features are useful as well. Section 3, looking for best recomposition genes. Obviously, you won't get a perfect girl with 10 out of 10 features everywhere. That is why you need one with compatible genes with yours. For example, if you have a good jaw but bad eye area, go for someone with a good eye area and bad jaw. Even though there's a chance that your kid gets the worst of both worlds, there's a chance they get the best. That is why it makes it imperative to have lots of children. I'd recommend looking for weaker area of your face and go for a partner that has stronger features of that area, and maybe you'd have better features of the area she's weaker in. Section 4, having lots of children, 5+. I'd recommend having as many children as you can, preferably 5+. You should have money maxed, so you should have enough money to give them all the food I lay out and do all the extra things I lay out as well. The goal of this vid is to give you the greatest chance of having mager children, but this doesn't mean all of them will be mager or even above average. But what I lay out in this vid will give you the greatest chance of having at least one mager offspring, which will enable your bloodline to be secured for many generations. Section 5. Values of your partner. You need to make sure your partner has similar views to you and you enjoy her company. You need to make sure she is submissive to you and follows you, and you need to make sure you trust her. These will make the next steps easier and enable her not to divorce you, which would make your kids less NT, more likely to do drugs and get fat.
Sorry I had to change voice as my other text-to-speech ran out of words. Stage to diet. Obviously people like Godas and other health BP influencers overrate the importance of diet in your kids' looks, but they can improve their face, height, and frame a decent amount. Section 1. Before pregnancy. You should hopefully have health maxed for a while now, but make sure you and your partner have done it for at least 6 months. Make sure they eat lots of rare steak, lots of sashimi or raw shellfish. Taking them for a long holiday to Japan could be a good strap before and during pregnancy to give them a good diet. Fried eggs, sunny side up, and raw dairy. Section 2. During pregnancy. During pregnancy, it's imperative they eat as little vegetables as possible. Also, limiting chemicals as much as possible is important as well. Make sure they have no junk food as processed food. And they do no drugs. This includes supplements. For food, try to do similar to above, but focus a lot on liver, eggs, and steak, as babies need a lot of vitamin A, B12 and K to form strong bones. Make sure they get as much sunlight as possible, as most people are deficient, which will make the baby's bones weaker. Section 3. First few years. First few years of the baby's life, giving them their mom's breast milk is optimal. This means you need to make sure eat as little vegetables as possible. Also, limiting chemicals as much as possible is important as well. Make sure they have no junk food as processed food. And they do no drugs. This includes supplements. And the mother has a very nutrient-rich diet, lots of rare steak, sashimi, raw milk, eggs, and organs. Another thing most babies are deficient in is vitamin D. This is why you need to make sure your baby gets 30 minutes direct sunlight daily and as much as possible time outside in the shadier places. Section 4. Rest of childhood. After 2 to 3 years, they can start having more solid foods. Give them liver, eggs, and steak. But the most important thing is raw milk. You should give them 1 L between 3 to 6, then 2 liters between 6 to 10, and for L between 10 to 18. Stage 3. Environmental factors. Section 1. Chewing. Chewing can help guide facial growth. I will show a picture of someone who never chewed before. Yes, he was probably fed a bad diet and didn't have the best genetics, but chewing definitely played some role. To improve this, let them chew steaks, liver, etc. without using cutlery. You should also tell them to chew their food more thoroughly until it turns into mushy gloop in their mouth. Section 2. Breathing patterns. Next, breathing. They should naturally nose breath if you breastfed them for over a year. However, if they don't, there is a couple things you can do. Try this video. Also, purposefully telling them to breathe through nose, and finally mouth tape for when they sleep. Section 3. Grounding, barefoot, etc. Grounding is important for health, mood, and inflammation. Also, walking barefoot will improve fascia and strengthen the foot, which will improve sports ability. This will improve confidence and inhibition, as always getting picked first in sport will create a conformation bias. Section 4. Outdoor activities. If they are boys, sports like tennis, football, golf, etc. plus being outside in the sun for hours. Getting outside will improve mood and hormones. It will also give your kid a tan, which is an underrated halo. Make sure you don't overexert your kids with exercise. Do 30 to 60 minutes daily of sports. If they are boys, I would recommend doing it, as it will improve their sports and add to the conformation bias, which will improve their confidence. Section 5. Hair. If they are boys, just go for long hair. If they're girls, you have a couple hairstyles you can give your kid. 1. Long hair. I wouldn't recommend, as they will constantly be called a girl in their childhood, as you don't gain much dimorphism until teen years. These will make them socially less respected, less popular, etc. This is why I'd recommend the other hairstyles instead. 2. Fringe, up and great appeal. Best hairstyle, they have a big forehead. Doesn't take much to style, just add some sea salt spray to their hair. It goes without saying, go to high quality hairdressers and frequently, as you don't want them to mess up their hair, as this will come with many drawbacks to their confidence, inhib, looks, etc. 3. Middle part. Just learn how to style it and it will stand out and look exotic. However, don't do it if they have a big forehead, high hairline. Section 6. Eyebrows. Light eyebrows is a death sentence for looks. That's why I recommend using seed oil if they have thin ones. Section 7. Style. This is basic. Just don't dress your kids in anything that they can easily be made fun of, like these, and dress them in stuff like this. Section 8. Orthodontics. If your kid gets to teen years 11 to 14 and they aren't properly developed, skull-wise orthodontics is a must. Here are some orthodontics to fix specific problems. 1. For a narrow palate, I'd recommend getting palate expanders, though I'd recommend asking them to expand the lower jaw as well. 2. For underbite, you can use Invisalign and using bands. 3. For overbite, get bands. Section 9. No chemicals, no deodorant, toothpaste, etc. Try and decrease as much chemicals as possible. This means getting chemical-free everything. Also replacing plastic with glass. Section 10. Go to speaking. Here is a section from Go to Speaking about how to bring up your children.
Let's talk about how to take care of your children and the baby when it's born, and the most important things to make it independent and free from the system, so it doesn't always have to go to doctors and all that stuff. Diet, of course, is the thing that I'll talk about first, seeing as I'm so into nutrition and all that stuff. And obviously, do not make the mistake that people do, especially here, and give them anything with grains, any grain products at all, because a baby's stomach is so incredibly sensitive to the wrong foods. If you damage it, then you damage the nerves. This human could be harmed for life. The only thing that a baby can digest with no problems at all are light foods. And what's the lightest food? Raw meat, of course. Also eggs and any kinds of fat. In Africa, what do you think is the first thing that babies eat? It's liver. And the people there are simply not as brainwashed as they are here. They still eat naturally. And if you will feed your child liver and all kinds of organs, you will have a super baby. No disease, nothing. All the eczemas that the babies get from grains and all that, forget it. It will be the healthiest kid out of the group. And of course, all that a baby requires, firstly, for months and for years, is breast milk, just to say the obvious. Except if it's not possible, then you should think about all the other stuff. Okay, and about after birth, what happens? Firstly, obviously, giving birth at home would be ideal. If you believe that there could be any complications, all right, in the hospital, do not let them do any stuff to the baby, such as putting antibiotics in the eyes. It's completely not required. It does more harm than good. Just look at the statistics of it. And don't cut the umbilical cord. Look into Lotus birth for more information about that. It will fall off naturally. Nature provided it. Why? To have a better blood flow, and because of the nutrients, and even more. Otherwise, it would fall off after birth, just like that, but doesn't. It falls off after days. So it's a mistake that in hospital they cut it off. And about child circumcision, if you haven't heard about it, if you live in Europe, thankfully we haven't heard about it here, but actually in the United States they mutilate men's penises by cutting off part of it in the front, and this is because of the Jews. The Jews brought it to the United States for a lot of reasons. A lot of children actually die from it. Then there's thousands of American men walking around without a penis, because many babies actually lose their penis in this process. And then there's a lot of other problems. But all of them have mutilated penises and are not able to enjoy sex as much, and all the fun stuff, so to speak. You can look into it if you want to read about yourself what actually happens and how unnatural sex is for the women and for the men who have sex with these mutilated men. Follow the links in the description for more information about all of this. an elephant in the hospital is a lecture about the circumcision, for example, and there will be more stuff. And just to say the obvious once again, the most important thing, of course, for a baby's safety and security and for its health is being with the baby after it's born. So being with his parents or her parents, because in hospitals they may take the baby away from you, even if it's for a brief time. So this is traumatizing actually for the newborn. Vaccinations, controversial stuff. If you haven't seen the documentary Vaxxed, watch it, even if it's not about your children. You may want to see it because you have likely also been vaccinated. There's so much stuff in there that no human has ever required. It's completely ridiculous that they actually manipulated us into injecting that stuff into us. It's completely proven that it destroys us, but it's still going on. Neurological damage, epilepsy, autism, schizophrenia. When the neurons get damaged and they actually change their form and size from being straight, so to speak, to being like that, or after enough torture of the body from vaccines and diet, they may actually just die off. And this is, for example, how schizophrenia works. And as far as medicine goes, obviously you understand that I'm not a fan of it. Of course, some of it may be useful now and then, like pain relief in some certain situation, but generally just no. And as far as, for example, stuff like lowering fever goes, that's just plain stupid, because fever is a sign that your body is fighting a virus, for example. And I've mentioned in my videos that I haven't had a cold, for example, or anything like that ever since I started sun gazing. But I'm sure that I've had a virus enter my body, so to speak, in all of this time, because I've had the fever for a few hours before going to bed, and when I woke up, everything was gone. Whereas I used to be sick for a week when that kind of stuff happened, like most people. So it's just my immune system that fights off these viruses. So nothing, of course, will prevent you from getting a virus in any place. It can happen anywhere, but the point is having an immune system that can actually simply get rid of it. That's what a healthy body does. Also, don't teach your children to use soap and be afraid of bacteria. I don't even want to get into it because it's all so ridiculous. Destroying the bacteria on your hands or anywhere is completely anti-health. Don't wash your clothes, your children's clothes, with any of the commercial stuff, because it's full of poison and again will cause a lot of disease, allergies, and it goes actually into the body, and so much damage. What I would recommend you to do when it comes to being quote-unquote clean, actually getting some kind of animal, a dog, and let your child play in the mud with the dog. Those are the healthiest children who are exposed to all the natural stuff. I see a lot of babies covered up nowadays, or even with sunscreen, because their parents are trying to protect them from the sun. Depriving your babies from vitamin D and all the other stuff that comes with the sun when they are growing and their immune system, that's just completely irresponsible. And that's really going on nowadays. Just don't do that. Another thing I want to talk about is tooth decay and brushing your teeth. We may all have heard about silver fillings and the mercury, which is a similar cause for the neurological damage. And thankfully there's some awareness about it nowadays. But it hasn't been exactly removed everywhere. It's still going on, and same with the vaccines. And there's, of course, other harmful things in both of these things. Brushing teeth is normal to an extent. Using your fingers now and then, or some kind of salts, which people used to do once a week or once a month, that's all right. But if you brush it all the time and you remove the natural things from your teeth, you destroy the bacteria which protect your teeth with toothpaste, and then you feed bacteria with carbohydrates which cause tooth decay and smelly breath. That's not what you're supposed to do. And if you would not or at least limit the carbohydrate consumption of your children, then you wouldn't have these problems in the first place. And if you give them enough nutritional foods, organs, and seafood, they will not have any problems with their teeth at all. They will grow completely straight, just strong bones in general.
Section 11. Getting them everything they want to be cool. This will make them perceived as more cool and boost status, which will reinforce the confirmation bias. Section 12. What to do if it's a girl. Learn how to properly do makeup, not be a slut. Basics for a daughter is: make sure for makeup she only uses mascara. Make sure she doesn't dress like a slut. Also reinforcing the idea of a happy nuclear family and talking down on sleeping around. After this, you should leave it to your partner to teach your daughter what to do. Stage 4. Personality, worldview. Section 1. Halo effect. The halo effect will be a pivotal part of your child's life. If all goes well, they should be beautiful and tall, which will make the halo effect come into full swing. The halo effect will make their life be on easy mode and come with a bunch of bonuses. Section 2. Testosterone. Testosterone has been linked to increase in ego, increased confidence, better sports ability, being more extroverted, and lower inhibition. If you follow all the steps I laid out above, they should naturally have high testosterone. Section 3. Confidence. Confidence will come from a bunch of things such as testosterone, the halo effect, and confirmation bias. Your kid should have all these ticked off, so he should be confident. Confidence can be a good halo if combined with good looks. Section 4. The I don't give a f mentality. You want to instill in your children the I don't give a fuck mentality. Make sure you have enough money to cover them in the future and say it doesn't matter how they do at school, and they're basically guaranteed to have this mentality. Section 5. School. I'd recommend you send them to school, as it will give them the biggest chance of socializing. Just make sure they don't start until 5. Section 6. Hunting. Hunting will make them less high inhibition and more confident. This is because they see they can physically kill something and normalize death of animals. Section 7. Tell them about your values. Explain your thoughts on race, food, looks, relationships, etc. to your children. This way they grow up with similar beliefs to yours.